the Cowboys have Micah Parsons, who's entering his option year at $24 million. He willingly played last year for $3 million. We advised him not to, not privately, but publicly. We said, hey, you don't go out there and play this dangerous position where you could get, a high ankle sprain, and he did.
Yeah.
You could have a serious injury, and fortunately for him, he didn't. Stephen Jones, the Cowboys co-owner and chief operating officer, said, I don't think anyone's ever underestimated Micah's value in terms of what he can bring. From the day he walked in the door, he's been one of those guys who, when he's rolling, it's a problem for the other guys, and they got to find him. They got to figure out how they're going to go at him. I don't want to get into the details of early, late, when all that comes. It's too early for any of that, but obviously Mike is an important part of what we're about. And look, last year, I think the only smart thing about dragging their feet for way too long with CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott's contract is it kept Micah Parsons from showing up and banging on the door saying, I want mine. He accepted his spot in line behind Lamb and Prescott. So by slowing down the Lamb and Prescott negotiations, it worked out perfectly that they never had to get around to Micah, and they never had Micah agitating for it. This year he will be, and this year they're going to have to pay him. And part of it for them, it's not the F you pay me tax, it's the the Brian Schottenheimer hire didn't go over very well tax. So we got to do something to get people excited. Let's throw a shitload of money at Micah Parsons.
Yeah, well, I think this is one that we can classify and put in the category as like, duh. Like, yeah, of course, he's going to be the highest paid defensive player in football. He should be. When he's rolling, I don't know. Anytime I see him on the field, he's rolling. So I don't know what that means. He's the best defensive player in football. When I watch film and do all that, right, there's nobody that pops out more to me on the defensive side than Micah Parsons. Jalen Carter's getting there as far as that. But, like, blurs that hit the screen where you're like, wait, who? I was looking downfield at coverage. Who the hell was that moved? Oh, that was Micah. Oh, okay, yeah. All right, Micah. Oh, Micah's flying through the A-gap. Oh, Micah's running over the guard. Oh, Micah's running around the franchise tackle. Oh, Micah's running the running back down from behind. I mean, he's versatile. He's awesome. He is as talented of a player as we've ever seen coming off the edge. So I don't think this is even a question, the highest paid defensive player.
The Jalen Carter clip that I saw recently, I don't know if you saw this on social media. There was a guy trying to block him. A running back was trying to.
Hey, he's sick,
jumped
man.
over him.
He's sick.
He jumped like over him straight up. It was the actual hurdle, not the Saquon Barkley reverse hurdle. But it's incredible to see how athletic he is. But I'm with you. They need to pay Parsons. They got lucky last year that they kept him on the team for a season at only $3 million. They got much more than $3 million value out of it. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk. Let's focus on Schottenheimer for a few minutes. And we were planning to get to the Raiders. We were planning to get to the Jets. But we realized as we got into the conversation, the Cowboys still are interesting. Their demise. The fact that people are figuring out they're not interesting is interesting. That they're not interested in winning, that's interesting. One of the challenges of taking a member of the former coaching staff and making him the head coach is you're not going to change the culture. You're not bringing in an outsider. And you were saying something earlier, Devin, that reminded me of the 20 minutes or so that Michael Irvin rambled all over the place. Then again, he's been watching Jerry for 30 years. But it was entertaining because Michael Irvin really could read the phone book, and it would be entertaining. But he said one of the problems, and he claims that the Cowboys don't meet on Saturday night before games. And I've never heard that. I assume all NFL teams gather on the Saturday night before the game and have a meeting. I didn't know they didn't do it. I just thought they all did it. He claims they don't. He claims that it's important. It's part of instilling the discipline. It's part of making sure everybody's on the same page, that guys are spending time together, that guys are interacting, that they have love for each other, that they're ready to go out there and fight for each other, that they're forced to be together. You force people to be together, they're either going to kill each other or they're going to hug each other in time. And his point was, if Schottenheimer tries to walk through the door and say there's a new sheriff in town, if he tries to crack down when he was part of the prior regime, they're going to resist because in their mind, we got you this job. You're going to do this to us? We got you the job you have. We played well enough on offense last year that they made you the head coach when they moved on from Mike McCarthy. I just thought that was an interesting twist on this because Irvin was pissed, and Irvin pulled no punches. Irvin wanted Deion Sanders. And he said, I still support Deion Sanders. And he's upset and he's disappointed. He tried not to go too hard after Brian Schottenheimer because he's kind of the victim of circumstance here. Mm-hmm. This is about Jerry and Steven making a hire that they should have known they shouldn't have made. And Irvin's take on this idea that if Schottenheimer tries to crack down, it's just going to cause the locker room to crack apart.
Yeah, and it's also why are you changing this now? Like you didn't say anything about this last year. Like you enjoyed every bit of this. Like you were all in. You were preaching the method of what was happening. And that's the hard thing of now, because if you come in and you go, well, I just did that because I was there. So then it seems like, oh, so you're not authentic. You just went along with it. And now like it's just a bad scenario. And that's very unique by Irv, I think, to even talk about that Saturday, because I agree with him. Like Saturdays was usually this ballroom in the hotel that turns into a cafeteria, and you have all of these guys in here, whether it's right before the meetings where guys are eating and we're watching the top college football game going on Saturday, and there's call it 3 or 4 guys involved that went to these top schools, and we're going hard at each other. And then we'll go to meetings in the middle of the game. And then as we wrap up meetings, everyone rushes back into the cafeteria to talk trash. So it's 100% correct that you have this huge kind of area where everybody's going to meet, they're going to laugh, they're going to joke, they're going to talk trash. I think about like when you go into some of these major cities and you have no meetings, like that turns into as soon as we touch down in Miami, we know where we're going. As soon as we touch down in Las Vegas, we know where we're going. And you can be a disciplined football team. You can pick any football team. Without that structure, you're going to have a lot of guys, and I'm not saying they're going to go get into this wild night, but you're going to have guys that don't do probably what you need to do the night before the game, whether that's going to dinner and just having a few drinks. Not everybody can do that. There's some guys who can. Everyone can't do that and play at their absolute best. So to not have any type of meetings or structure, to me, sounds crazy, because for one, the distractions and the focus, but also the part of the team bonding and what that builds off of how you can kind of just create this college type atmosphere where you have all of these people hanging together, laughing, joking, eating. That's where you get to know each other. You would see tables where, it'd be 4 or 5 defensive backs sitting with offensive linemen. Like that's where your team starts to interact even more, because in the NFL, everyone's grown men. They have different things. They go home to wives, kids, so many other things during the week that when you have those Saturday meetings, it allows guys to bond and spend time together. So, I think it makes 100%. I could see even more Cowboys, former Cowboys coming out talking, because there's a culture there to being a Cowboy. There's a culture to who the head coach is. Like when you think about when Jason Garrett was the head coach, he knew the Jimmy Johnson style and all that. Like that's what they love when you talk about the Cowboys, of some kind of connection to the wins, to the way it used to be, or somebody that just knows about it. So as much as Deion Sanders is a college coach and all of that, that would have been another guy who understood the culture and what it was about. And I feel like everyone from the Cowboy Nation, they feel like that's what they're missing. They don't have a connection to how it used to be, or this strong culture of representing that star and making it so popular and making that be the focus of the team. It just seems like that's lost right now.
You mentioned the ability to just go out since you aren't having meetings. Irvin also said they didn't have curfews. And I'm reminded of a story that hit a few years ago where John Kitna, a former Bengals quarterback, said that a teammate in Cincinnati was once drunk in the huddle during a game. TJ Hushmanzada chimed in and said, when I first got to Cincinnati, we didn't stay in a hotel the night before our home game. So guys would go out and, hey, I'm going to be inactive this week. Go out and go straight from the club to the locker room on Sunday, because there's no curfew, because there's no hotel. And I really do think at the deepest possible level, the reason that the Cowboys don't do it, if it's true they don't do it, it costs money to do it. Why are we doing this? It saves some money. We don't need to have this big lavish meal. I can hear Jerry saying it. Well, why do we need to have this big lavish meal? Why do we need to rent that big ballroom? We're not having a wedding. We're playing a football game. I can hear him saying that because he sees the...
All right, let's talk about Micah Parsons. The guy is a game changer, a defensive monster, and he's about to get paid. He's heading into the 5th-year option of his rookie contract, and the Cowboys are finally going to have to open the checkbook. Think about this. Last season, Parsons played for just $3 million. $3 million. For one of the best defensive players in the entire NFL. That's absurd. And now he's set to cash in big time. But the real question is, will the Cowboys pay him what he's worth without hesitation? Or will they drag this negotiation out? This deal could define the future of the team's defense. Will they lock him in long-term or play hardball? What do you think? Should Parsons become the highest-paid defender in the league? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Cowboys fans weren't exactly thrilled when Brian Schottenheimer was named head coach. Let's be real, this wasn't the exciting franchise-shifting hire that many were hoping for. But what does his arrival mean for Micah Parsons' contract situation? Some believe that this move was Jerry Jones's way of shifting attention from Parsons' looming payday. Instead of making headlines with a massive contract extension, the focus turned to the coaching change. But if the Cowboys want to keep their defensive superstar happy, they can't afford to drag their feet on this deal. Now here's the big question. Do you think Schottenheimer has what it takes to lead the Cowboys to success? Vote in the comments, yes or no. Chapter 3. The weight of Parsons on the Cowboys' defense, 140 words. Micah Parsons isn't just good, he's a game changer. His ability to line up anywhere and dominate makes him one of the most feared defenders in the NFL. Whether he's coming off the edge, dropping back in coverage, or disrupting the run game, offenses have to game plan around him every single week. Without Parsons, this Cowboys defense looks completely different. He elevates the entire unit, masking weaknesses, and making life easier for everyone around him. That's exactly why he's in line for a massive contract. But does Jerry Jones see him as a must-pay player or just another piece in the puzzle? If it were up to you, would you break the bank for Parsons or use that money to strengthen other parts of the team? Let me know in the comments. Michael Irvin dropped a bombshell recently. He revealed that the Cowboys don't hold team meetings on Saturday nights before games. Think about that. No final strategy discussions, no last-minute adjustments, no emotional rallying before stepping onto the field. For a team that struggles with mental lapses and discipline, this raises serious concerns. How does a team with championship aspirations lack this level of preparation? Ex-players like Irvin have openly questioned the culture inside the locker room, pointing to a lack of leadership and accountability. And let's be honest, when a franchise legend calls out the team like this, it's not a good sign. Do you think this kind of detail actually impacts the Cowboys' performance? Drop your opinion in the comments. Michael Irvin hasn't held back his frustration. He wanted Deion Sanders as the Cowboys' next head coach, and he's not happy with how things turned out. Can you blame him? Primetime isn't just a legendary player. He's a culture changer. Look at what he did at Colorado. His energy, leadership, and winning mentality could have transformed this team. But Jerry Jones and the front office never seriously considered him. Instead, they went with Brian Schottenheimer. A safe choice? Maybe. The right one? That's up for debate. Did Jerry Jones make a mistake ignoring Deion? Would you have wanted primetime leading the Cowboys? Vote in the comments. So here we are. Micah Parsons' contract, Schottenheimer's hiring, and the culture inside the locker room. These are the decisions shaping the Cowboys' future. Will they lock up Parsons long-term? Can Schottenheimer prove the doubters wrong? And will this team finally build the winning mentality needed to compete for a Super Bowl? Or are we just watching the same old Cowboys, stuck in the same cycle, making the same mistakes? What do you think the Cowboys need to change right now to get back to the top? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you made it this far, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more Cowboys news.